Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks. I'm not supposed to be reviewing this yet. I'm really not. It's not ready for prime time. Or is it? You know, I was asking myself this weekend, is this the kind of watch I would really be interested in buying in the condition that it's in? And my answer was, yeah, actually I would. This is the No.1 D7W. Okay, comes to us from Gearbest, and check the show notes, as I always say, for a discount coupon, discount price. But notice right now, where does it say? There's only like 4 pieces left. There's not a lot of them in stock, and when they're replenished, they may be a different version of this. Same thing, but updated with the firmware. Why do I say that? Because of a couple of limitations that are on this particular, I'm going to call it prototype unit. Limitations in one person's mind might be a benefit in another. Let's take a look before I dive into this, what we're looking at. You remember the D7 Android standalone smartwatch with phone, SIM card, the whole 9 yards, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of storage space on board. And, did I say SIM card? Yeah, I did. The W is the D7 without the SIM card, without the cellular radio, without the ability to make phone calls and do text messaging by putting in your phone SIM card. Hello? How many of you out there are okay with that? Don't ever plan on using your watch as a phone, think it's kind of gimmicky, and would rather have longer battery life. I'm with you. I played with it. I can do it. Actually, I prefer the tethering kind if I'm going to do a phone call and just bring my phone along with it, so I've got this one phone number. But nonetheless, you know, it's something you can do, and after you get over it, I don't make phone calls from my watch. For one, the speakers usually aren't loud enough, and I look kind of funky putting my hand up to my ear and my mouth. Just all in all, it's not my thing. So give me a watch that doesn't have the cellular circuitry in it that I have to pay for, and doesn't eat away at the battery just being there, and I'm happy. Okay, so that's kind of the premise of the D7W. You get better, longer battery life if you don't strap it down with being a phone. It's a watch. Another thing. This one, I'm going to turn it on here for you. This one, the reason I'm doing this video is it's still got 58% power left. Yeah, okay. Does that mean I didn't charge it last night? No, it means I didn't charge it for 4 days, practically 3 days at least. This is my battery life testing I was doing. I started it at 100%. 24 hours later, it was at 84%. Another day, it's at 68%. It's now at 58 hours, and it's at 58%. So if you averaged it all out, it's 1% per hour. I could get 100 hours of battery life out of here. But I'm not. And I am connected to Wi-Fi. But I don't have GPS going or any of the other stuff. It's just basically a watch with Wi-Fi, so if I have apps on it that I want to connect to the internet, a browser or streaming radio or something, I could do that as long as I'm in my Wi-Fi zone. No cellular, no need. Oh, and you know, I hope you know, you can put your phone in Wi-Fi hotspot mode, connect any of these watches with SIM card capability or not. Forget about the SIM, forget about cellular, connect it directly to your phone, and by Wi-Fi, and use the 4G capability in your phone to give you the internet connectivity in your watch without having to deal with using a data plan or any of that other stuff. A really slick way to do it. And of course, you go to Starbucks or just about anywhere, you can connect directly into Wi-Fi at home, in your office. You got it made. Yeah, the D7W comes with Wi-Fi, of course. It's got Bluetooth. You can do limited tethering to your phone if you want to. And you can turn that on. It's the higher version of it. What is it? Bluetooth 4 point something that is low power. All that said, The biggest eater of power, as usual, is going to be the screen. But other than that, there's no cellular radio. So I'm getting incredible life. I'm only stopping this test so that I can do this video for you. But it could go on and on and on, obviously. Another reason it's able to do that is because, are you ready for it? There's no Google in here. There's no Google in here. There's no Google. You don't have Google constantly monitoring. Where are you? What's your mood? What did you have for breakfast? Hello? Do you want to ask me a question? Hello? I'm still here. Okay, mister. Okay, missus. Ask me a question, please. I'm connected. I'm doing everything. I'm streaming data to your browser, Chrome. I'm streaming data to your map application. I'm streaming all the time. I am so streaming that if you took me out of here, you'd probably double the life of this device. Now, there's no Google. Oh my goodness. You know how fun it would be to have an Android watch that has no Google in it, that you don't have to worry about any of that? So what about apps? How am I going to put in apps without my Google Play Store? No problem. You guys know about side loading, right? You bring in your computer. You download the apps to your computer, going to play.google.com, bring in the Play Store, go into your apps, find the app you want, download it right into your computer. It's in a .apk format. Put all of those things in a folder and transfer that over to your watch by synchronizing, plugging your watch into the computer and making it look like a little hard drive to it. And you know the drill. Just like you do the watch faces, you drag over the folder of all of your .apks into the watch. And then, one by one, you install them from there to your watch, and you've bypassed having to do Google. It's okay, because they're your apps. You've logged into Google on your browser, on your computer, and downloaded legal copies of them in your account, and you've just simply put those APKs here and installed them from the side. It's side loading. So I got a watch here right now. This is the No.1 D7W. It's limited, really limited. It's prototype. It's not supposed to have the cellular radio and the SIM card, but it is supposed to have Google. I mean, come on. It's an Android watch. It's supposed to have Google. But the fact that it doesn't, and it will be coming in a firmware update, means that right now, if you're interested, and I'd be buying this right now because I would love to have an Android watch stripped of everything Google that I have control of. I can put in a few apps that I want, my Spotify or Django, let's say, a news reader thing. You know the drill, the little display brightness thing, the tech apps. All that stuff doesn't need Google to work, and you can sideload them to get them in, so you don't even need Google to install them. So, without Google, folks, I can get this kind of battery life on here. So I'm doing this review for you now. It's a pre-review of this watch, not the full one. We'll do that later after the appropriate, I talked for 5 minutes, I had that set for the maximum time. After the appropriate firmware updates are sent out, hopefully OTA over the air, and you can just update it on the watch, or if not, you'll be able to download the firmware file and update it directly through your computer to the watch. Either way, you could get this thing now, and you can follow along as the improvements come out and install new firmware or update the current one to bring in all the Google services if you want them. If you don't want them, just don't do the update, and you got yourself a really nice Android watch to run all the apps you're interested in without having to deal with cellular or Google. So, here's the original, oh my gosh, here's the original D7, and I want to give a shout out to No.1 for really trying hard to make this a decent watch. It's had a lot of problems, as many of you know. This is the D7W, and its firmware is similar, you're about to see, but different, of course. It's giving us great battery life. This one, when I started this review, look how long it is down there. Maybe a half hour beforehand as I was setting it up, I turned this on, it was 100%. It's at 84% over that amount of time, less than an hour. This has dropped down to 54 from 58 because I have the screen on. If I only checked it occasionally for the time, then I wouldn't be using power. It's using more for the screen right now. This has been sitting off. They both have just been updated, and I've put some watch faces in them, but no apps. And this thing has just been draining like crazy. There's a new firmware out that's supposed to improve the battery life, and there's more firmware coming that's going to fix that turn your arm to see the time thing. A lot of little glitches in here. If you've got a D7, just know that No.1 is working on it to get it right for you, but you're going to need to do some updates to the firmware. This one, like I said, it's pretty much a preliminary watch. It is available right now for purchase, and if you're lucky, you'll get the version I got, because this came not from No.1, but directly from Gearbest in the link that I'm showing you. And it's as you're about to see it. This is how it showed up. So what does it do? What does it look like? When you slide down, you get that panel. That's the same thing you get when you do it on here. Doesn't last for very long, a few seconds. It gives you a countdown there. It's got the same tethering app. You got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or no SIM card, it says here. And this one talks GPS instead. So it shows you if you have your GPS on, whereas this one shows you the SIM card. That's a big difference. They use the Fun OS for tethering. When you swipe up, you get that screen. It's identical. Lets you change the brightness. Have an SOS function for the cellular, but Bluetooth connect for this one because you don't have the cellular, right? You see the subtle differences? And then a way to go into settings. When you go to the left, you get your notifications if you have any. Okay, mine just says there's no SIM detected in this one. Of course, there's no SIM, so I don't get that. And clear them. When you go to the right on both of them, you get first the your step count. Then on this one, you get the cellular stuff. This is another glitch we've got going on here. Here on the D7, I get my weather report. In English, this one's in Chinese. That's something they're working on. Why it's coming in Chinese, we're not sure. Then you come over one more pane and you get the barometric pressure, which is coming in different. So I think we're getting different locations out of them. And then you're getting your altitude information, which is also different between the two. Here it's the same exact location. So I think this one's giving you more correct data. The location looks better. And this one's giving you Chinese information for the location. And anyway, again, this is a prototype. So if you get this now, you may not get the correct weather. And if you get the weather, it's going to be in Chinese. Then you come back here. Oops, that's going into, okay, well, what the heck. I touched it, and so now I'm going into the information on your step count. And this is what you see on both of the watches with that. When you're in this section, there's your calories burned and your distance traveled and your number of steps. And then you're back to the watch face. If I tap it, that's when I go into my apps. So let me bring us up on that one here too. So you can see the differences in the apps. You've got the tracker, the clock, which I'm not looking at any of these because I've already done an extensive review of this one and they have not changed. Settings will come into in a moment. FunFit's the FunFit app. Communications, I don't have here. Notice they've taken out communications because the communications is everything to do with the SIM card. Not tethering, but just communications using the SIM card. No SIM card, no need for it here. Go into sleep, then you have the audio center. Oh, here you do have contacts. Now here's why. Rumor has it, I can't confirm it, but an additional update to this in the future is going to be, you ready for it? Yeah, Bluetooth phone calling. It's not, I'm not sure. It'll be the first ever in an Android watch that you can actually do tethering phone calls and tethering text messaging. But if it can, And if it does, that will be a significant enhancement to the D7W, because up till now, every Android watch is a standalone device. So you get one now and you get to play with it and see as it evolves and improves, and maybe have the treat of having actual tethering phone call capability. And so the contacts are appearing in here, which of course they appeared on this one back up in the communications area, right? Whoops. Well, you know where I am. In the communications and over to the side. That's where the contacts was on the tethered watch. Here they are here, but there's no SIM card. So we will see. That's the little teaser. Your health remind is where you have the sedentary and drinking water. The Google Play Store, which is in the watch that supports the Google everything. There is no Google Play Store in this one because there's nothing Google, no Google services, nothing. Okay. Whoops. Anyway. Okay, you're getting the idea. I don't want to go too much into all these because you've seen this all. Now you get into the remote stuff. And again, that's the tethering stuff, and that's going to be the same between the watches. So you're going to have the Bluetooth remote control stuff available. Here's your watch manager, which is where you can see your storage. 4.71 gigabytes available out of 4.91, 4.91, you know, the same as there. And like I said, I've installed some watch faces to test those out. And then you have multimedia center for the gallery and the videos. And yes, you get that fun little girl video on both watches. Just in case you want to test out the video to your heart's content. But I digress, right? Oh, yeah, I wonder why my finger's sweating. I can't slide them anymore. I'm always embarrassed when I show that one. You get your heart rate monitor, which is the same on both of them. I'm not going to bother with that, showing you that. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in all of these other functions. Oh, the compass. The compass we've been having trouble with, and we're going to have a real hard time now because you put two compasses near each other. I hope you know that. You don't ever want to do this because the magnetic stuff is going to interfere like crazy. You see them jumping all over. Probably if I mess with this one, it'll turn that one like a Ouija board. The compass is there. It doesn't work well on both of them. I'll admit it right up front. They need more work on the compass. It does not point correctly. It's a work in progress. You see it just doesn't work. Even when you calibrate it. Nice add-on, but it works better in other watches. That's lame, so don't expect that you're really going to get much. The DT1 just takes you to their home website. Voice search is here. Why? Because Google services are here and all things Google. No Google here. It's not listening. It's not eating your battery. If you don't need to do this kind of stuff, this watch right now might be for you. Style is just changing the background, and more is where you have whatever custom apps you want to put in, and they come preloaded with WhatsApp. You knew that would happen, and you got to go all the way down again and into it. With WhatsApp and Facebook, right? And any apps that you add side-loaded with this one or through the Google Play Store on this one. By the way, when you side-load, you don't even need to be on Wi-Fi or anything. Here, of course, if you're using the Google Play Store, you got to be on the internet to bring them in. But you can load things directly from the computer in here. I do it all the time. I don't want to waste my time downloading the same darn app into every watch I show you. You've seen it before. I put in a folder full of apps, and I just install them from there. But anyway, that's where that happens. And then you can close everything you had open with the recent apps on both of them. And that's it for apps. So what about settings? Let's take a look. What's changed? Not much, except where there's something about cellular. When you do an overall look, they look pretty much the same, except there's something called SIM management, which is grayed out because I don't have a SIM in here, and it's been totally removed from this watch. But the About Watch, backup and restore, security is all the same. Display, sound, language is all the same, date and time, wireless, power saving, and internet connectivity. Now when we go in here, we have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS. There's nothing about cellular in there. And when you go into wireless, we have default SMS app messaging in the one that has a SIM card, and this tethering thing, and then a shaded out mobile networks. And tethering and portal brings us into this, which honestly, I really don't understand how it works. On here, I can see if you turned on Wi-Fi hotspot to make the watch a hotspot using the cellular data plan from the SIM card, that would make sense, but not without the SIM card. However, you notice there's Bluetooth tethering available as well, which theoretically means when you turn it on, you can activate Bluetooth tethering. Remember, we just talked about Wi-Fi tethering, making your watch a Wi-Fi hotspot and connecting directly Wi-Fi to get full Wi-Fi signal. But this appears to be a way on both of these without a SIM card in there that you could turn on Bluetooth tethering and share. Okay, here you share the watch's internet connection. Yeah, same thing. So you can actually, theoretically, tether your watch through the Bluetooth connectivity to your phone. I think that's what's going on here. Anyway, they are on both of these watches, so it has nothing to do with, it's getting me confused, with having a SIM card or not. What is this? Set up a okay, this is what's available on this one when you have the Wi-Fi hotspot capability, because you've got the SIM card, which you don't have on this one. So that's something interesting that's showing up on this watch in general, and definitely here, but not here. The Bluetooth would be your availability. So that's everything. The rest of them haven't changed at all because that's just standard. And in terms of About the Watch, which is where you're going to want to know what is that magic firmware that doesn't have Google. It's called 2017-07. What? 2017-07-15. And this is 2017-07-14. This is the D7 firmware running in this one with all of the SIM information in it. This is without it and without Google. Now, the Google stuff will come through the firmware. So when there's an update to this firmware that adds Google back to the D7W, you'll have a newer number than that. Where can you get this to flash back to the pre-Google version? And can you flash this on here if you're never going to use the SIM anyway, making the D7 work like a Google-less D7W? Those are great questions to ask, number one. I have no idea, no control over it. But the possibility is No.1 may provide this firmware directly through their website, or you might be able to get it through the Pro boards once the Pro boards get a hold of the firmware, because they archive all the firmware for all these different watches. And I'll have a link to the Pro boards for you too. So if you own one of these, you might be able to get this by doing the firmware thing, if it will work on here and not brick the phone. A lot of questions, no answers on this end, but you might be able to find out. So the one thing you haven't seen on this one, and it may change as well, are the watch faces. Now I've got my favorites. This is one I designed personally. Now see, it's dropped to 45 from that 58. So when you're using it actively, yes, you're going to get some battery drain, but what you're not getting is the battery drain in the background from the cellular radios or the Google trying to connect with the internet all the time. Press and hold brings me into all of my custom and regular faces, which you can scroll and see all of those. These are the stock faces then that come with the D7W. That's the first one, second one, third one. I wonder if we get the total eclipse on there. Nah, shucks. That would blow my mind. By the way, I'm filming this during the total eclipse. That would be so cool. If all of a sudden the moon was covering the sun, I'd fly to China and shake #1's hand if they did that. Here's a time with a lot of information, so you know that you can get your calories and steps and battery information as well on the watch faces that come stock with this watch. And these are the regular ones you've seen before. Not going to go into every one of them, but just to give you a feel, like I said, they may completely change by the time we're actually updated with the firmware fixes that add Google back into this watch. And that's the last one, I'm pretty sure. Yep, because then I start in on my custom watch faces. Okay, so the #1 D7W. Where's my piece of paper? There it is. From Gearbest right now comes this way, without Google Play Store, without cellular radio capabilities, and with a really good battery life as a result of all of that. Anticipate that if you buy this one right now, you can either freeze it in this configuration by not doing any of the firmware updates, or you can sequentially update it as #1 puts out the fixes. They have said definitely they'll be putting all things Google back onto this watch. It was an oversight. It'll be on there. And possibly, we're hoping, they will be giving us tethered phone calling, so you can take this along with your phone and make calls from your watch through your phone like you would in a normal tethering watch situation. If they do that, this will be the very first on the market Android smartwatch that can make tethered phone calls. We'll be following that, and we'll definitely do an update for you on the D7W as things progress when we've got the new firmware. In the meantime, I wanted to slip this in right now just in case there's 4 of you out there. Where is it? 4 pieces or more. They may get more of them in this configuration. You never know, but just check it out. Gearbest #1 D7W. Definitely something to consider. We'll see you again soon.